Let that be your prayer if there's no other prayer you make. Nothing else you need to know but that. Have your way in me. Today we're talking about love. Actually, it's really ludicrous to think that in the next 17 minutes I'm going to enlighten you as to this process that fills millions of movies and thousands of books and occupies most of the waking minutes of our adult lives, but I'm going to try. There's an affirmation that I give out, and I frequently do that as a spiritual pharmacist to people. You know, take 2 of these every day and see what happens. And it's the most commonly dispensed affirmation I have because people come to me with this issue more than any other. And that issue is, how can I find the love of my life? And it's very simple. I'm going to give you the affirmation so none of you ever have to come see me about this. Because this is what I will tell you. The love I am seeking is seeking me now. Say it with me. The love I am seeking is seeking me now. Take 2 of those every day. Morning and evening, and see what happens. The love I am seeking is seeking me now. This thing called love is so powerful in our lives. And as a spiritual movement, we really can't ignore it. We have to look at what is that all about? What is this? And Jesus said, in fact, in the Gospel of Thomas, when you know yourselves, then you will be known. And you will understand that you are the children of the living Father. But if you do not know yourselves, then you live in poverty, and you are the poverty. And I don't want any of us to be living in poverty, so we have to know ourselves. You understand? We have to know who we are and what we're about. And that means this big, huge question of, what is it all about, Alfie? What's the love about? What is going on? And that is this. Why all this seeking for love? And I could get a little excited about it. Okay, I'm a professional seeker. I have a theory to explain to you. This is the Sky St. John theory. So I want to take ownership of it. Others may have permutations, but it's called the sandwich theory. The sandwich being, there's 2 ends to it. There's an end here and an end here. And in this end of the sandwich, this is our life before life. The life when we are in utero, and in another whole sermon, all the lives we had before that. But we won't talk about them. We're talking about the life in utero. That life in utero, when we are in that place in utero, we are in absolute oneness. We have no desires. You're never hungry because you got this tube coming here and all the food. You don't even have to order it. It's just poop. It's right there. It's perfect. The temperature is like even the best climate control in the world. The cushiest bed. I mean, you're just like, you have no desire. And you are at one with your Maker. And there is never a time when we are going to be more at bliss than in that moment in this end of the sandwich. The great Jewish philosopher Martin Buber put it this way. In fetal existence, we were in communion with the universe. Isn't that lovely? The problem is, of course, our consciousness isn't really very fully developed at that point, so we may not be aware of it. We just know it feels really good. Never will it ever feel that good again. I'm sorry, it feels that good. Then, the next end of the sandwich is when we die. Now, I'm going to get to the middle, don't worry. But then this part, when we leave this body behind, because we're spiritual beings, and that part of us never dies. But in Ecclesiastes, it says, the great poet in wisdom says, life, lovely while it lasts, is soon over. Life as we know it, precious and beautiful, ends. The body is put back in the same ground it came from. The spirit returns to God who first breathed it. And the great psychologist Carl Jung says that in that place, what happens after death is so unspeakably glorious that our imagination and our feelings do not suffice to form even an approximate conception of it. Are you getting it? Here's the sandwich. You start here at one with the universe, and you're at one with the Creator, and it's delicious. And then over here on the end, when you die and you pass through the grave, you're with God, and it's delicious. And then there's all this. The lettuce, pickles, tomatoes, special sauce. All of this happens, and this is what we're going to talk about today. But I want you to get the sandwich. The sandwich, we start at oneness. We're going to end in oneness. This is what I want to talk about. What do we do here? Because this is the love that is seeking us, okay? And you'll see in a minute. It's really beautiful to understand. Eric Butterworth, who we're teaching one of his books, right, coming up, says we are whole creatures in potential, and the true purpose of desire is to unfold that wholeness and to become what we can be. The moment we are born, the very moment we come out of the womb, we are filled with desire. We're filled with desire for air. We scream for it. And then we're hungry. Then we scream for the hungry. Then we desire to be touched, and we do this. Babies are just little desire machines. And mommies spend and daddies full time meeting those desires. Anybody been a mommy or a daddy? You know. They have nothing but one little desire after another, and you just have to take care of all of them. That wasn't like that before. Mommy could go bowling. Before. But after, there is nothing. We enter life with this huge bundle of desire. Now, what Eric Butterworth is saying is that all that desire that we get going, that is all part of the thing that's leading us into a potential. Every one of those desires, if we can see them from a spiritual perspective, is a step closer to a wholeness with God. Believe it or not, even a desire for the hunger, even a desire for the touching, even a desire to play, it's all that. Jesus said, if you bring forth that which is within you, what is within you will save you. If you do not bring it forth what was within you, then what was within you will destroy you. So all the desires that we have, we need to let them bring forth. We need to let them express. That's why babies are so perfect. When they're hungry, they cry and they scream. When they're mad, ever seen them when they're mad? Ooh, they just get mad. Then we grow up. And sometimes you can't tell. Are you mad? No, I'm not mad at all. Okay. Are you hungry? Oh, no, wouldn't eat a thing. Okay. How you feel? I'm feeling fine, thank you. You see what I mean? We learn a lot of junky stuff, but babies are so great. They've got it. And Jesus says we got to bring all that out. We got to bring it out or it will kill us. There are 3 stages of this wanting and knowing, and you're going to see them. They're very clear. The first one is the parent caregiver. Then there's a significant other, and then there's God. We'll talk about each one. When you first come out into this level of existence, your whole universe has shifted from this cool little space where you were, where everything was provided. Now you're in another space. And the people who are providing it are usually moms and dads, or caregivers of some kind, and your whole world becomes them. Ever seen little babies or mothers? Well, you take the baby away from the mother, and what do? They scream and they cry and they carry on. Some of us are serious about that. I'll confess. My mother tells this story. When I was born, I was an easy birth. We were immediately bonded because I was supposed to be her child. We already had one for my dad. Now I was the second, and I was going to be hers. So we were. She had a contract before I even came in here, going, "You're mine, honey. And I'm going to make you work. I need somebody to help with the kitchen." So this was all agreed upon before I even got here. And it made a lovely bond. It made it such an interesting bond. And she told me this story later. Of course, I don't remember any of it. Well, from the moment I was born, no one could hold me but my mother. Not my father, not my grandmother, not my aunties. Nobody but her. Nobody could feed me but her. She was my universe. All of us have that sort of a thing going on when we grow up and we come into this world. It might be both parents, it might be an auntie or something, but there's this, our world is a little bigger than the womb, and now it's the room where the people are. But no matter how good of a parent we have or we had, they cannot meet every need that we have as children. They cannot. It's not possible because they don't know what those are. We're individual human beings. They don't intend to not meet them, but they don't. So we end up coming through this experience with some heartaches and some wounds from childhood. We all do. we end up coming to this experience with some parts of ourselves suppressed because parents go to this school where they learn certain key phrases, and I know all your parents know them. Don't you raise your voice to me. Don't you be angry with me. You stop that crying or I'll give you something to cry about. You know that? You all know that. Every parent uses those same kind of lines. Well, all they're saying essentially is suppress your feelings. Don't express yourself. And this is, and granted, this is part of what parents do. They don't mean to be mean, but what it does mean is that we grow up somewhat suppressed. We grow up with some of these wounds. Part of getting out of this stage for us is to be aware of what those wounds are. We have to be aware of them. It is not enough for us to say, well, that was just the way childhood was. It was always like that. It's not enough to say, oh, yeah, well, that's suppressive, but I don't do that. We must become aware of it if we're going to be completely conscious human beings. Remember what Jesus said. If you know yourself, then you'll know who you are and you'll be children of the Father. But if you don't know yourself, then what you don't know will kill you spiritually. So to look at these things is not just an exercise. To do these things is part of our healing into wholeness. Here's an affirmation. I commit to an awareness of my old heartaches. And I don't mean boyfriends. I mean the heartaches from childhood. Are you going to be brave? Let's try it. I commit to an awareness of my old heartaches. Oh, you were so enthusiastic. I can see the list as we go right now. Okay, come on. Let's try it again together. I commit to an awareness of my old heart. Okay, good. That means, well, you'll see what it means. The second one is significant other, and I purposely chose cats because we have a variety of significant others in the world. Long around the age 13, we shift from mommy and daddy and family being our universe. We went from the uterus was our universe, and then we went from our family to the universe, mommy and daddy. And all around the age 13, when the hormones kick in, this strange phenomenon happens. Parents become incredibly stupid. They become out of touch and instantly old-fashioned and completely irrelevant. Did you ever notice that? If you had children, you did. And all of a sudden, other things become important. The world gets bigger now. And it becomes a cohort of my friends get bigger, and my school gets bigger, and my clubs get bigger, and everything, and family is just a pain. You see what? There's a shift, right? There's a shift in where that love is. But what really shifts, though, those are just kind of the external thing. What really shifts is somewhere around 13. We decide that the answer to our wholeness, that the desire that we are born with to bring us into potential, all these desires that came from the very moment we were born, all of those desires can be fulfilled and we can be made whole in one person. And long around 13 or 14, we find them. Or at least the first one. We find them. They're it. They are the ones. They are the ones that are going to make me whole. They are the ones that all these old wounds and heartaches that I have, they are the ones that are going to fix me. They are the ones that have all the stuff that is missing in my life. You make me whole. You're my other half. La, la, la. So part of our journey is to discover how absolutely untrue that is. We are on a constant journey, yearning to reach that other half of the sandwich and using all these different proxies for our wholeness. Let mommy be my wholeness. Let you, my beloved one, be my wholeness. Let this be my wholeness. Let that be my wholeness. And the reason it can never work is because no person can make us whole. Oh? Are you sure? Uh-huh. No person can make us whole because the wholeness is here already. What that person can do, however, is incredibly important. I am not saying we don't need to find someone, but what they do is different than what you think. Jesus said, believe it or not, Jesus did talk about marriage. He said, it isn't for everyone. But if you're capable of growing into the largeness of marriage, now what does that mean? See, here's where the gift can come. The relationship, that person that we are seeking, that one we think we're seeking to make us whole, what they do is we enter into a contract with that person to create a space that is so filled with love, a space that is so sacred, that all of this stuff from the beginning, the stuff that feels unwhole, the stuff that is filled with heartache, the stuff that is hurt, a place where that stuff can come. That's what Jesus talks about, the largeness of marriage. He says if you're willing to commit to that largeness, then the love is big enough, that stuff can come up. And it can be healed. Now that person didn't heal it, but that person helped make the space where it can come. That's the gift of the relationship. That's the step into the wholeness, and that's how that leads us then into a better place. So what we do in relationship is we create an atmosphere of safety and trust. We communicate openly and effectively. And the last one's important. We act for wholeness. Because the Course in Miracles says something very important. You will be made whole as you make whole. Okay, did you get that? I really want to be whole, but it says, I will be whole as I help make whole. Why is that? We got to get it. We're one. There's no such thing as me getting whole and you not getting whole. You know what I mean? There's no such thing. He says, for to perceive in sickness the appeal for health is to recognize in hatred the call for love. This is profound stuff. So when we're in relationship and then we're finding a place for our stuff to come up, yeah, because it's really always about us. In relationship, our stuff comes up. We have to understand that when their stuff comes up, that is, their sickness comes up, and Lord knows we've been with some pretty sick people. When their sickness comes up, what is it? It is an appeal to health. And then the relationship has to be big enough for it to come safely. Even if there is anger, then we have to see that even in that anger, there is love. Because my wholeness and your wholeness are connected. Do you understand that? It's a fantastic dynamic. And so it leads us to say this: I create a place of safety and trust in my relationships. Can you say that? I create a place of safety and trust in my relationships. I commit to open and honest communication together. I commit to open and honest communication. And lastly, I commit to the healing and wholeness of my partner. Together, I commit to the healing and wholeness of my partner. And then this third part, the first was parents, then there's the other, and then we come to the third one, this last one, right up next to the final slice of the sandwich. I have noticed, and you probably have too, in these couples that are so healed, they're together, that they are so bound together, and that they are so, they have worked through their stuff, and the love is so powerful, that they tend to no longer focus on each other anymore, but they turn their energy to the healing of the world. Do you notice that? Have you seen these couples like that? Where it's not about them needing each other so much. It's like they know they're together. They know their oneness so completely that now they turn out and they take that and they work into the world. It's a powerful, beautiful thing. And I think when we see it that way, we can finally understand a piece of scripture that used to bother the heck out of me. It was when Jesus said, you cannot be my disciple unless you love me more than you love your father, your mother, your wife, your children, your brothers, your sisters. You cannot come with me unless you love me more than you love your own life. When I first read that, I thought, this guy's really insecure. He's jealous. Demanding? I don't know if I want to hook up with somebody like that. But that's not really what it is. You see, once we have made this place, this journey of wholeness in our own life, to where we love our mother and our father, but we don't need them anymore because we are healed beyond those heartaches. Once we have been connected with a partner so much that we don't need them anymore because we know we're already one with them in every way and always will be. Once we have that, then there is no choice to make. We can follow Jesus or step into our oneness with God, and we do not leave them behind ever, not for a moment, because we are one with them. How can I leave them behind if they're here with me? Do you see? But if I'm still over here trying to heal this, if I'm still invested in this and I still have to find that relationship that's going to heal me, I can't be down here yet. You understand? But it's not really a choice of them or God. It becomes a choice of all of us and God because we're together. We're one. So the last affirmation is this: from my wholeness, I know my oneness with God. This is like you're right up next to the last piece of bread over here. And you're ready to step into that oneness. And you don't have to die to get there. You can just be there. Say it with me. From my wholeness, I know my oneness with God. When we look at it that way, when we understand that love, romantic love, familial love, brotherly love, all love, is part and parcel of our movement from this part of the sandwich of life to the other, it makes a difference to me. And when I read these amazing words about love, maybe the most famous words of love, it all makes sense. From the 13th chapter of the book of 1 Corinthians. If I speak with human eloquence and angelic ecstasy but don't love, I'm nothing but the creaking of a rusty gate. If I speak God's word with power, revealing all his mysteries and making everything plain as day, and I have faith that says to a mountain, jump, and it jumps, but I don't love, I'm nothing. If I give everything I own to the poor and even go to the stake to be burned as a martyr, but I don't love, I've got nowhere. So no matter what I say, what I believe, and what I do, I am bankrupt without love. Love never gives up. Love cares more for others than self. Love doesn't want what it doesn't have. Love doesn't strut, doesn't have a swelled head, doesn't force itself on others, isn't always me first, doesn't fly off the handle, doesn't keep score of the sins of others, doesn't revel when others grovel, takes pleasure in the flowering of truth, puts up with anything, trusts God, always looks for the best, never looks back, but keeps going to the end. The love you are seeking is seeking you now. Will you close your eyes with me for a moment, please? We are grateful, God, that you are here reaching for us. We are reaching for you too, in the best way we know how. And we know no matter what, you will find us. That is a promise. We rest in that promise now. Claiming all of the good things of love. Grateful that we can come to you directly in this moment, in the sacred and holy silence.